Hey, loves, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate everyone that is stopping by. Your presence is appreciated as we get ready to get set up here to have this discussion as we were talking about before. So stay tuned. And welcome into the chat for those who are here. I appreciate you very much. Continue to stand by as we get set up here. All right, so we are in. All right, so thank you guys for stopping by. So we're talking about the major stores that are closing. About to take a look at a video of exactly that in just a moment. But first, let's just go over what we see so far. So, several major clothing brands are closing. It says in the US, and this is news that's everywhere. And this is kind of a breakdown of where Copilot, a quick breakdown of what Copilot sees happening, right? And it says it's due to financial challenges. It keeps saying closing in the US. Doesn't necessarily mean across the world that the other locations are, even if they're not a location, maybe they're moving over to certain areas that are booming in other countries. We don't know. So what do we see on the list here is Joanne, that fabric, store, very popular. Everyone knows it. Joanne closing 500 of its 850 stores. Volcom is closing and they're shutting down 100 stores. Billabong closing 100 stores. Quicksilver, a part of Volcom and Billabong, they're closing 100 stores. Kohl's are going to be closing several locations. JCPenney, I found very interesting, especially with that one big celebrity, former basketball player that happened to have his investment company just took on JCPenney and Macy's. So I'm finding it surprising, but I do know, like we were talking about before, that a lot of the mall retail spaces, they are very interested in making that home homes and housing spaces for those who are unhoused. Is that how we say it now? So that is spaces that they are looking at, those turning those retail malls, big spaces, into housing. So housing is more of a focus as we move forward, and not shopping, because there's so many online alternatives when it comes to fashion. So JC Penney's shutting down, like I said, several of their stores. Macy's, several stores. Neiman Marcus in Saks Fifth stood on business this morning to reiterate that the Dallas store will be closing. That's not on the list here, but that is news that is breaking, that they're saying, yes, we're closing that Dallas location. Best Buy planning to close 10 to 15 stores. And it's, you just seen some Best Buys just pop up. So that's interesting. It gives you the what's going on, right? Big Lots closing several locations. Dick's Sporting Goods, some locations are going to be closing. The Gap is going to be closing locations. Banana Republic shutting down multiple locations. Old Navy plans to shut down locations. We're going to watch a video in just a moment, break that down even more. Victoria's Secret planning to close some locations. Abercrombie and Fitch, with all their legal, with their former CEO going through major, out on bond for major charges regarding smexual allegations that are against the former CEO. So, not too surprising to see Abercrombie and Fitch not being able to recover from a scandal like that. So, they are closing. So, these closures are reflecting the ongoing changes in the retail landscape, with companies adapting to new market conditions and consumer preferences, according to Copilot. So we're going to go back here and see what is Copilot. I hope you guys are using AI, whether Chat GPT or Copilot. Get very used to using AI if you can. For those unfamiliar in the Gen X, I want you to get more familiar with using it. And so displaying that as is also kind of a tutorial, so to speak, for everyone. All right, so we'll come back here because the discussion, Copilot is like personal assistant says, well, we could take it further. What are the reasons for the closures? Which brands are expanding instead? So let's see what the AI assistant is able to find as to why they're closing. Again, financial hardship seems to be that conversation that's on a constant with these businesses that are strategically saying, hey, this is where we are right now in this current environment, and this is what works best for us to cut back on maybe possible layoffs in addition to financial hardships. And when we look at layoffs, all the massive layoffs that are going on, I know you're more concerned about the fact that your favorite store is closing, and we get it because it's about your fashion, right? But those are people's jobs. In case you forgot, the girl that checks you out every time you go shopping, okay? Or the guy that checks you out every time you go shopping. These are people's jobs. Financial hardships, the shift to online shopping. I did see even one of the bigger, brands. Again, this is fair use for discussion purposes only. Allegedly, that Amazon was looking at numbers at how Shein and Temu was like a really big competitor, more than expected, and messing with some of their known numbers, right, over the years. So yes, those brands tend to bring quick fashion at an affordable pace. Pandemic after effects, for sure. High interest rates, that is, we already know that with tariffs is going to impact a lot of stores. A lot of stores are probably saying, hey, I am not going to be paying those high tariffs just for a couple of women, on Ozempic to get a halter top and be able to show their belly button. They can order that online. Competition from big retailers. Walmart and Costco is also another reason listed here by Copilot. So let's take a quick moment to see a video put together well on these stores closing. So there you go. You see Banana Republic on here. I'm going to insert it because this is for discussion purposes. We're sharing someone else's video. It's very interesting. 95% of their stores, that's a lot.
secret. Once the
Why is everybody still wasting their time trying to learn how to skip ads? Just download Pi and move on. This Chrome extension takes 5 seconds to set up and it blocks ads on any website you visit. It makes
undisputed queen of lingerie retail is closing hundreds of stores nationwide. The brand's dated image and failure to embrace body positivity early enough has cost them dearly. Their parent company, L Brands, has announced plans to close over 250 locations in 2025 alone. This represents not just a business failure, but a cultural shift in how society views beauty and femininity. Fourth on our list is J. Crew, which filed for bankruptcy in 2020 and continues to struggle despite restructuring efforts. The brand that once dressed Michelle Obama and was synonymous with preppy American style has announced plans to close all remaining physical stores by 2026. Their attempt to maintain premium pricing while competing with fast fashion proved unsustainable, and their core customer base has largely moved on to more contemporary brands. Dress Barn, after over 50 years in business, is completely shuttering its physical presence. The retailer, which catered to working women with affordable professional wear, couldn't compete with online retailers and changing work dress codes. Their closure affects thousands of employees across the country and marks the end of an era for women's workplace fashion. Forever 21, despite emerging from bankruptcy in 2020, is facing another round of massive closures. The fast fashion giant that once operated in over 800 locations is now down to just a fraction of that number. Their rapid expansion and inability to keep up with even faster fashion competitors like Shein has led to this dramatic downsizing. Seventh on our list is Men's Wearhouse, which is closing hundreds of locations following their parent company's bankruptcy. The formal wear retailer has been hit particularly hard by the shift to casual office attire and the rise of work-from-home culture. Their famous guarantee, "You're going to like the way you look," may soon be a relic of retail history.
That's a big one.
H&M, while not completely shutting down, is closing hundreds of stores globally, including many flagship locations in the United States. The Swedish fast fashion giant is struggling with inventory management issues and increasing competition from online-only retailers. Their sustainability initiatives, while admirable, came too late to prevent this major downsizing. Ninth is American Eagle Outfitters' Aerie brand, which is consolidating its physical presence despite strong online sales. The decision to close stores reflects the broader industry trend toward digital-first operations, even for successful brands. This strategic shift will see the closure of numerous mall locations by the end of 2025. Brooks Brothers, America's oldest clothing retailer, filed for bankruptcy and is closing most of its stores. The 200-year-old brand, which has dressed 40 U.S. presidents, couldn't survive the combination of casual workplace attire and pandemic-related store closures. Their remaining presence will be primarily through department store partnerships and online sales. Lucky Brand Jeans is next on our list, having filed for bankruptcy and announcing the closure of all standalone stores. The premium denim retailer, known for its vintage-inspired designs, couldn't compete with more affordable options and changing fashion preferences. Their intellectual property has been acquired by another company, but the brand as we know it will cease to exist. 12th, reducing its retail footprint. The retailer, which caters to mature women, has struggled to attract younger customers and adapt to changing fashion preferences. Their planned closure of hundreds of stores represents a significant shift in the market for women's specialty retail. Lord & Taylor, America's oldest department store. Finally, we have Topshop, the British fast fashion retailer that's closing all U.S. locations. Their attempt to capture the American market ultimately failed.
So there you go. So now, like I said, you will still see that, fashion, again, is just, it's going to have its presence and continue to do what it does over those seas. But here in the US, what's going on? Because that again. So let's go ahead and ask Copilot, how will this impact consumers in the US? All right, so Copilot is saying reduce shopping options. You know, shopping is a major outing in an way of life where people can't live without for some. I almost used the word we're not allowed to use. In the increased online shopping, more people are going to be shopping online, which says to me that from Amazon to, what do you call it, my love? Last mile delivery. Is that what it's called? Last mile delivery seems like that business might be booming soon. Potential price changes. It also is going to be a way to see that everyone's going to be inside more. See how that ends up working out with the layoffs, and will people even be shopping though? Price changes very much will be expected as we go back and forth with the tariff wars, because this is a serious tariff war that we're in right now with the United States. DT is saying that China has to do 20% tariffs, and Canada and Mexico have to do 25%. Canada, Mexico, China responds and says, we're going to throw some, tariffs and some conditions onto you. And then our leader responded last night in his speech to say that we're going to double it up if you do. So a major tariff wars, who's impacted? Consumers. The elderly, those without reliable internet access, definitely going to be impacted. Disproportionately affected, for those who are in lower brackets. These consumers are going to find it harder to access products that they need, and those, habits of just picking up things, and here we go. Look at Copilot, very relevant. The AI assistant picked up on the fact that job losses, store closures often lead to job losses. And that's the thing that I was saying earlier. Those are people's jobs. So yes, this is a part of the layoff conversation. It can have a broader economic impact on communities, and it can affect local economies and reduce consumer spending power. This matters to families, to people This matters to people in your church, in your community, and you're seeing less children able to participate in competitions because the parents don't have the jobs anymore. So a lot of things that you see going on around the community impacted. Will that then start slower sales at restaurants and fast food chains, which then will lead those individuals to have to do layoffs? More job loss, more community impact, more places closing, restaurants and fast food places, are they next? So this is all huge. This is all a part of the layoff conversation. So come back, and whenever you are watching this, please feel free to leave your comments. Again, ask that you respect each other in the comments with your opinions and feedback, and I will be back again for another discussion. Thank you for all who did stop by. Highly appreciate it.